Hello everyone, welcome back to the session of English. In this session, we are going to continue with our chapter Comprehension Ability. Now this is part 4. Well, this is very interesting chapter as we have done many passages before as well. In this session as well, we are going to begin a new passage and that is passage number 4. Till now, we have already done 3 passages, so this is passage number 4. So what we have to do, we will be given a passage based on which we have some question and answers which we have to identify from the passage or based on the context of the passage. So let's begin the session. In this session, we will discuss passage number 4, the questions based on it and the answers of this passage. So here we have a passage about a great deal of discussion continues as to the real extent of global environmental degradation and its implications. Now, as I told you before as well, that there are 2 ways to solve a passage. First, you can read the entire passage and then go to the questions. Again, there is another point, you can just continue or just start reading the passage and within after you have read 2-3 lines, just go to the questions and start doing them. So there can be 2 ways. It depends on the time that you have with you when you are solving the passage or the time which is left with you when you attempt a passage. Suppose you have only 10 minutes. There, reading the entire passage first will cost you the time or the wastage of time. May be possible if you read a few lines of the passage and then go to the questions, that will definitely help you out, because with the help of questions you can read the passage as a menu card in a restaurant. So let us do this, or let us try both the methods in this passage. So if I start reading this passage, it is a great deal of discussion continues as to the real extent of global environmental degradation and its implications. Implications means indications or the information that is provided. A great deal of discussion continues to environmental degradation. Degradation means when we try to make something weaker. So environmental degradation, it means the low effect of environment, or you can say the destruction or the towards the destruction of environment and its implications. What few people challenge, however, is that the renewable natural resources of developing countries are today subject to stresses of unprecedented magnitude. Unprecedented refers to when something has never happened before, and magnitude is the extent or the size. Now, let us go to the question first and try to solve the question according to the context of the passage with the help of the options. As we know well that we have been given the options as well. So here the first question is, some of the developing countries of Asia and Africa have. Now this is the question, and we have options like formulated very ambitious plans of protecting habitat in the region. Second is laid a great stress on the conservation of natural resources in their educational endeavor. Carefully dovetailed environmental conservation with the overall strategy of planned economic development, and sought the help of U3 experts in solving the problem of environmental degradation. Now let us see all these 4 options one by one according to the passage. So as we have this structure, what happens in the examination? Now let me tell you the format which you can see in the examination while you are taking examination. In case of examination, on your screen there will be 2 sides. One side you will get the passage, okay, and on the other side you will be having the questions. But in case of some exams, they are offline. For example, if the exam is of CLAT and there are many more examinations, let's say if you have an online exam, what you can do, you can simply check the questions one by one by just going back to the passage or just taking 2 pages together, so that you can easily analyze one by one option from the passage. But in case of online also, there will be a flexibility, because you will be getting 2 sides of the same screen, and one side you will have the passage and on the other side you will be having the question. So that will also be very, very simple and easy to do the question and answers. But in this case, we have to go back to the passage to read each and every line. But let us see if the sentences some of the developing countries of Asia and Africa have. Now let us get back to the passage first. Here it is. A great deal of discussion continues as to the real extent of now what we have to do. We have to look for Asian African countries. Okay. Now, these pressures are brought about in part increased population by the quest for an ever expanding food supply, because the health and nutrition and general well-being of poor majority. Now let us just scroll down and see if it is written here that if you can see Asian and African countries. Now, some are the looking protection at the long tradition environmental protection. Okay, it is US, and then after this. Now, if you see over here in this line, some countries such as Senegal, India, Indonesia, and Thailand are now including conservation concerns in their economic development planning process. Okay, so here you can see that we are talking about such countries like Senegal, India, Indonesia, and Thailand. Now we know very well that Senegal is in Africa. This is an African country, and India, this is Asian country. So all these four are Indian and African countries. So we were talking about Asian and African countries. So these four are actually Asian and African countries. So here we have the clue of the answer. Some countries such as Senegal, India, Indonesia, and Thailand are now including conservation concerns in their economic development planning process. So by here, we can get the answer. Also, let us read a few lines before. It is written in February 1981. For example, it funded a National Agency of Sciences panel to advise Nepal on their severe natural resource degradation problems. But here it is written such as India, Indonesia are now including conservation concerns in their economic development planning process. Now let us get back to the past question. So it is written Asia and Africa have. So it is written carefully formulated very ambitious and protecting habitat in the region. Now, this is not given. Laid a great stress on the conservation of natural resources in their educational endeavor. No, they were talking about environmental policy or the economic development plant. Dovetailed means when something is in strategy purpose or when something is explained properly. So carefully dovetailed environmental conservation with the overall strategy of planned economic development. So obviously this is the correct statement. So C is the correct answer. So according to that particular line, answer C is absolutely correct. Now let us move to the next one. Technical know-how developed in the USA. Now, here we have to look for the keyword, that is technical know-how and USA. Now, whenever we have such type of questions, just look to the keyword. That what can be the keyword of this question. So, it is technical know-how developed in the USA. Now let us see the options. Cannot be easily assimilated by the technocrats of the developing countries. Now first that we have to look for is this USA or US, that where is it written. And according to that, we'll try to analyze the meaning or the sentence which is over here. No matter what, if the sentence is exactly written in the passage as well, or it is written in the options as it is, maybe possible they are different, but there is somewhere a clue or similarity that create us make this word according to the passage or to the context of the passage. Now let us see if it is written technical know-how developed in the USA. Now let us see if this word or any of these words is written in the passage. Now let us get back to the passage. It is here as we can see. So now let us see if this page contains the word USA or know-how or the technical. Now, if you see these lines like this, okay, just scroll down and just read it as fast as you can. So here we cannot get the word USA. Okay. Now the next line. Yes, here you can see the word US. So let us read this. Some are looking at protection, long tradition in environmental protection and are receptive to US. Receptive to US means they listen to US or they follow US. Assistance which recognizes the uniqueness of the social and ecological systems in these tropical countries. So here it is written social and ecological systems in tropical countries. So which recognizes the assistance of US, which recognizes, or you can say identify, the uniqueness of social and ecological systems. So let us get back to the questions now. It is here. So these are the options. So is simulated by technocrats of the developing countries, where there is written tropical countries can be properly utilized on the basis of developing countries being able to launch an in-depth study of their specific problems, can be easily borrowed by developing countries to solve problem of environmental degradation, and can be very effective in solving problem of resource management in tropical countries. But they were talking about social and ecological condition, but here we are talking about resources management, so this cannot be the answer. Can be easily borrowed by the developing countries to solve the problem of environmental degradation? No, it is not at all mentioned over there. Can be properly utilized on the basis of developing countries being able to launch an in-depth study of their specific problems, because they were saying that the unique problems. Okay, so the unique problems are specific problems. So here B should be the correct answer according to the context of the passage. Now let us move forward. It is another question. There has been a pronounced deterioration of habitat all over the globe because of. Now here it is rigorous operation of the Malthusian principle. Okay, Malthusian principle, unprecedented urbanization and dislocation of self-contained rural communities, optimum degree of industrialization in developing countries, large-scale deforestation and desertification. Now, one more thing is there. Pronounced deterioration of habitat all over the globe because of. A very important thing in this is, now let us read the passage again. Okay. A great deal of discussion continues to the real extent of global environment degradation and its implications. What few people challenge, however, is that the renewable natural resources of developing countries are today the subject of a stress of unprecedented magnitude. These pressures are brought about in part by increased population and the quest for an expanding food supply. Expanding food supply means we can say, on the one hand, there are many people, or you can say population is increasing rapidly. But according to that, food resources are less. Okay? Because the health, nutrition, and general well-being of the poor majority are directly dependent on the integrity and productivity of their natural resources. The capability of governments to manage them effectively over the long term becomes of paramount importance. It means it is very important for the government to look towards the requirement according to the population. Developing countries are becoming more aware of the ways in which present and future economic development must build upon a sound and sustainable natural resource base. Okay? But in case of undeveloped countries or developing countries, some are looking to prediction, need to improve their capability to analyze issues and their natural resource management. So here, the most important thing is the number of people and the food according to them, or the quantity of food according to them. This is the major problem that we have to look for. So in short, we can enhance these two words, or we can analyze these two words. Okay, so the most important thing is has been a pronounced deterioration. Deterioration means downfall of the habitat all over the globe because of rigorous operation of the Malthusian Malthusian principle. Now, here one thing matters a lot. Suppose there are some technical terms or there are some scientific terms that we are not aware of. This is actually the question based on that particular thing, that if we do not know the meaning of this particular principle or the policy, we are not able to answer it just because we have no idea about it. But these are somewhere, if you have any idea or any prior knowledge of this type of or these type of policies or the principles, then you can easily answer these type of questions. But if you do not have any prior knowledge, you will not be able to answer such questions. Now, just because of this, I have always suggested you, in fact, I always suggest you that you should read newspapers and its articles. For example, you can read the Hindu or the Times of India, because many times the editorials or the passages are taken from those newspapers only. According to those newspapers, if you keep in touch with news, if you keep in touch with the daily editorials or the editorials that you get every day, you will be well aware of the policies and the principles. Now, this Malthusian principle is basically a principle based on the population, and according to that population, the food requirement. So whenever we have a large number of population, and according to that we do not have sufficient resources to make them or to feed them, so in that case, that is actually the Malthusian principle. So the answer of this question will be A, because this is actually the policy, but only a few people can answer it, or only those people can answer this question who have somewhere a knowledge about who have somewhere knowledge about Malthusian principle. Otherwise, it will be difficult. It will be quite difficult for us to answer such type of questions. So if you feel that yes, you know well, or you are aware of this policy because it is not written directly in the passage, if you are aware of this principle, you can answer this easily. But if you have if you don't have knowledge, better skip the question. Or if you can analyze it according to the passage, you can answer it. Or what you can do, what else you can do, you can read these three sentences if they are matched with the context of the passage. If they match, then that's fine, and you can easily see that these three are not the answers but the first one. So here A is absolutely correct answer. Now let us move to the next one. The next question is, the poor people of the developing world can lead a happy and contented life if. Now what we are talking about, poor people of the developing world, they can lead a happy and contented means they are satisfied life if. Now what? There is north south dialogue and aid flows freely to developing countries or developing world. Industries based on agriculture are widely developed. Economic development takes place within the ambit of conservation of natural resources. There is an assured supply of food and medical care. Now, what can be the answer? The poor people of the developing world can lead a happy life or contented life if. Now, let us get back to the passage again so that we can analyze the answer of this particular question. So, we were talking about the poor people of the developing countries. Okay. So if you see this, developing countries are becoming more aware of the ways in which present and future economic development must be built upon the sound and sustainable natural resource base. And this is, some are looking at the protection of our uniqueness, okay, capability. Just read the word to word that if you are able to answer it. And now including conservation concerns in, because so many governments of developing nations have recognized that the importance of these issues. The need today is not merely addressing additional consciousness, but not carefully designed and sharply focused activities aimed at the establishment of effective resource management regimes that are essential to the achievement of sustained development. Okay. Now the question was, read it again, contented life if economic development takes place within the ambit of conservation of natural resources, because ambit means the highest point. So C will be the correct answer, because only now if we see the first point, there is north south dialogue and aid flows freely. There is no mention of this. Industries based on agriculture are widely developed. Now economic development takes place within the ambit of conservation of natural resources. There is an assured supply of food and medical care. So it is not written anywhere. So C is absolutely correct answer, because if economic development takes place within the ambit of conservation of natural resources, as you can see on here, it is written, the pressures are brought about in it is, however, is that the renewable natural resources of developing countries are today the subject to stress of unprecedented magnitude. Okay. And after that, it is becomes of paramount resources. Okay. Here it is written, poor majority are directly dependent on the integrity and productivity of their natural resources, and the capability of governments to manage them effectively over the long term becomes paramount importance. Moreover, of the ways in which present and future economic development must build upon a sound and sustainable natural resource base. So they only want the systematic or you can say system of natural resources. Okay, so this is the way they can solve this problem. So this will be the correct answer. Okay, now let us move to the next one. So the next question is, how much environmental pollution has taken place in developing and the developed world? So the options are: there has been a marginal pollution of environment, extensive damage in the developing world. There has been a considerable pollution of the environment all over the globe. There has been an extensive environmental degradation both in the developed and the developing world. The environmental pollution that has taken place all over the globe continues to be a matter of speculation and inquiry. In the very first line, as you can see, it is written, a great deal of discussion continues as to the real extent of global environmental degradation and its implications, what few people challenge. So according to this line, it can be said that it is not actually the correct marking, it is just part of a speculation. Therefore, the correct answer will be, now let us move to the question again. So it is, let us get back to the question. It is D, that the environmental pollution that has taken place all over the globe continues to be a matter of speculation and inquiry. Now let us move to the next question. Okay, this is passage number 5 now. So passage number 4 is finished. It contained only 5 questions. Now it is passage number 5. So let us move to the passage number 5 now. Well, what the passage number 5 is about, let us read a few lines of it first. A leading Indian industrialist, in a recent article on ways to strengthen India's economy, has drawn attention to the problems of inflation and industrial sickness, among other things. One of the main reasons for industrial sickness in our country has been the fact that business and industrial managers have not been able to look beyond the immediate future. They have been too preoccupied with their attempts to report favorable results for the current year, higher profits, and larger dividends to shareholders. Okay. Now, planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years. Investments have been inadequate for new plants. Inadequate means insufficient for new plants and towards diversification and expansion. Modernization and asset creation has seriously lagged behind, and business growth is needed for survival. One has to grow if one does not want to be wiped out. Okay, so this is actually the industrial part or the business part or any industry that one is going to set up. So it is according to that. Okay, so who can survive, who cannot, like that. Okay, so first of all, let us go to the questions. Which of the following shortcomings of Indian industrialists has been highlighted by the author? So they invest. Okay, now shortcomings means the part in that they lack, in which they lack. Of Indian industrialists has been highlighted by the author. How? They invest unreasonable high amount of diversification and expansion. They are more concerned for immediate net gains than for development activities. They are reluctant to maintain the shopkeeper mentality. Reluctant means they are not in condition. It means they cannot, they avoid. Okay. They are not able to do that. They are less concerned for payment of dividends to shareholders. Now, we have already read this for dividend to shareholders and diversification and expansion and net gains, then for development activities. So let us get back to the passage now. It is, now if you see, one of the main reasons for industrial sickness in our country has been the fact that business and industrial managers have not been able to look beyond the immediate future. Okay. And also, again, if we go beyond, it is written, they have been too preoccupied with their attempts to report favorable results for the current year, higher profits and larger dividends. So they are paying that. The planning horizon had hardly exceeded 5 years, inadequate for new plans and towards diversification and expansion. So this is fine. Modernization asset creation has seriously lagged behind, and business growth is needed for survival. One has to grow if one does not want to be wiped out. This is particularly true today. Liberalization imports and increasing competition. Moreover, growth and higher productivity create employment. Okay. Henry Ford. So this is written about Henry Ford. Even after, now this line is very important. Even after 40 years of independence, our industrialists have not been able to shed the petty shopkeepers mentality, and our highly educated management has tagged among merrily and without concern. So exactly the most important line is this shopkeepers mentality. So if we look this question, it is actually the C part. So C is the correct answer, that they are reluctant to maintain the shopkeeper mentality. Okay, they cannot change it. Okay, so this is actually the shortcomings of industrialists that has been highlighted by the author. Now let us move to the next one. The leading industrialist attributes industrial sickness mainly to. Now we are talking about industrial sickness. Attributes means given the credit of, or when we give the credit of something to someone, that is attribute. Okay, so the leading industrialist attributes industrial sickness. It means whom they want to give the credit of industrial sickness mainly to. Now let us see the options. Lacunae in 5 years plans. Lacunae means gaps. Preoccupations of managers with matters unrelated to business. Higher profits and larger dividends to shareholders. Or lack of foresight among managers. Now here the most important word is industrial sickness mainly to. Okay, now let us see where this word is written. If you see this line, the first paragraph and the second line, okay, it is one of the main reasons for industrial sickness in our country has been the fact that the business and industrial managers have not been able to look beyond the immediate future. Beyond the immediate future means foresight of something, or you can say to see the future. If we go to the options, if we go back to the options, it is written over here. Lack of foresight among managers. So this is actually the reason which is given directly in the question. So this is option number D is absolutely correct according to the first few lines of the passage. Now the next question is, according to the passage, growth and increasing productivity lead to. So what does growth and increasing productivity lead to? Now let us get back to the passage again. So this is, okay, let us see. Growth and higher productivity create employment, and higher employment creates larger markets for both industrial and consumer products. So here we get the answer. So let us get back to the question again. And it is, let us see the options one by one. Imposition of restrictions on imports, no. Employment and thus provide an outlet to industrial and consumer products. Encouragement to export, no. Export. Disappropriation, no. It is B. So answer is B, which is written directly in the passage. Though each and every word is not same, but you can see that the line or the meaning that we are deriving from this option is exactly same as we have it in the passage as well. Okay. Now let us move to the next one. Why did Henry Ford stress the need for a more stable middle class? So we are talking about Henry Ford, and we have seen this word in the passage as well. So let us get back to the passage again so that we can see the answer. It was Henry Ford who brought home the need for the creation of a larger and more stable middle class, that is, a larger number of people who can afford more and more goods and services. Okay, now let us get back to the question. It is, okay, now here the question is, and the answer should be, they are mostly service oriented, no. They do not have shopkeeper mentality, no. They can afford to buy more and more expensive goods, yes. So this is the correct answer. So C is absolutely correct answer as per the context of the passage as well. So this is absolutely correct answer as we have read in the passage as well. Now let us move to the next question, that is the planning horizon. Now as you have already read the passage before as well, you know very well that you have seen this word somewhere in the passage. So this will definitely help you out to reach that particular part of the passage where you have read this word, because this is actually the key word which we are looking for in the passage as well. So the planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years implies. Now what does this mean? They are asking that planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years. What is the meaning of this line, or what does this line says? So let us get back to the passage again and look for the particular line in the passage only. We have read this line before as well, so we may have an idea that where we can find this particular word or the key word in the passage. So this is very, very simple for us when we start reading the questions, and because of that we read the passage, we get an idea that yes, this word is written over here in the passage. So this is actually the prior knowledge that we have according to the passage. So let us get back to the passage again. So it is on the page number 11. So let us see this. Okay, here it is, the planning horizon. Okay, the planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years. But we have to say, mention, or we have to answer that what does this line imply? What does they want to say according to this line? They have been, so for this, we should read a few lines before and the after this keyword. Okay, they have been too preoccupied with their attempts to report favorable results for the current year, higher profits and larger dividends to the shareholders. The planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years. Investments have been inadequate. Inadequate means insufficient for new plants and towards diversification and expansions. It means they were not having enough investment. Okay, so let us get back to the question. It is written, okay, planning should not be for a period of less than 5 years. The planning process is very time consuming. The planners are not inclined to think of future. 5-year period is too short for successful implementation of plans. Okay, now with the help of these 4 options, we have to find out that what can be the answer. As we have read there, they were talking about some investment that is inadequate. Now let us see if it is written in the first option, planning should not be for a period of less than 5 years. The planning process is very time consuming. The planners are not inclined to think of future. 5-year period is too short for successful implementation of plans. So the answer will be D, that is 5-year period is too short for unsuccessful implementation of plans. How? Let us see this. Now if you see this, they have been too preoccupied with their attempts report favorable results for the current year and higher profits, larger dividends. The planning horizon has hardly ever exceeded 5 years. Okay, hardly exceeded 5 years means they did not go beyond it. Okay, investments have been inadequate for new plants because investments were not sufficient for new plants and towards diversification and expansions. So according to this, they want to say that there are a few attempts only. So the time was very limited. Here, the answer will be 5-year period is too short of successful implementation of plans. So answer is D. So D is the correct answer. Now let us move to the next one. According to the passage, the net gains pursued by managers are the cost of. So here the most important thing is pursued by the managers are the cost of. What? The net gains pursued by managers, okay, are the cost of. Now let us see the options. Diversification, modernization and asset creation, availability of markets for industrial and consumer products, inflation and industrial sickness, liberalization of imports and increasing competition. So we are talking about net gains pursued by managers are at the cost of. Okay, now let us get back to the passage. If we talk about the passage, here it is written, towards diversification and expansions. have been inadequate for new plants. Okay. Also, if you see this, current higher profits and larger dividends to shareholders. In business, growth is needed for survival. One has to grow if one does not want to be wiped out. And this is particularly true today that liberalization imports an increasing competition. Moreover, growth and higher productivity create employment. This we have already read. Henry Ford, we also have read this, and highly educated. Okay, let us get back to the question again. According to the passage, the net gains pursued by managers are the cost of. Yes. Now, if you see options one by one, we are talking about diversification, modernization, and asset creation. Then availability of markets. Now, if it is written diversification, modernization, and asset creation, let us get back to the passage again. It is written over here on the page number 11. That is, investments have been inadequate for new plants and towards diversification and expansions. So this will be the correct answer, because here it is when the profit, okay, so at the cost of a diversification, modernization, and asset creation. This will be the correct answer. As you can see over here, that is, cannot afford more goods and services even after 40 years of. Okay, so according to this line that we have read, so true today, liberalization, increased competition, moreover growth and increased productivity create this and this markets for industrial and consumer products. So according to this line, that answer is absolutely correct. So 18, here the correct answer is A. Now let us move to the next one. It is, in order to improve the condition of Indian industries, the industrialists should do all the following except giving up the narrow mentality which very small shopkeepers generally have, striving to earn long-term profits. Now, in order to improve the condition of Indian industries, what they should do? The industrialists should do all the following except. They should do all the following except. First of all, they know very well that the mentality of the petty shareholders is not so good. So they have to giving up. It means they have to just give up or just to leave the narrow mentality, that they have to make the shopkeepers give up their narrow mentality. So this they have to do. But they are asking, they should not do. What they should not do? Striving to earn long-term profits, encouraging competition from industrialists within the country and from abroad, restoring long-term planning for industrial growth and expansion diverse fields. So this and this we have already read, but not read this. They should not strive. Instead, they should do another things. So B is the correct answer. Now this was passage number 5 that we have done. Now this is passage number 6. Let us do this. The public distribution system which provides food at low prices is a subject of vital concern. Vital means very important. There is a growing realization that though India has enough food to feed its masses 2 square meals a day, 2 square meals a day means a proper meal, the monster of starvation and food insecurity continues to haunt the poor in our country. Haunt means to make afraid, or to, you can say, to frighten. Increasing the purchasing power of the poor, though providing productive employment leading to rising income and thus good standard of living, and is the ultimate objective of the public policy. Now let us get back to the questions. Let us go to the questions. So it is, okay, the passage number, let us see the number of the slide, that is 21. Okay, and this is question number 1. Which of the following is the main reason for insufficient supply of enough food to the poorest? So why is it so? Mismanagement of food stocks, absence of proper public distribution system, production of food is less than the demand, or government's apathy towards the poor. So what is the reason that the poorest people do not get the amount of food, or they get insufficient supply? So what is the reason? Now let us get back to the passage. That is, okay, here, that is on 21. So public distribution system which provides food and low prices is a subject of vital concern. There is a growing realization that though India has enough food to feed its masses square meals a day, the monster of starvation and food insecurity continues to haunt the poor in the country. Increasing the purchasing. Okay, here we were talking about this. However, till then there is a need to provide a short supply of food through restructured, more efficient and decentralized public distribution system. Although PDS is extensive means large. It is one of the largest such systems in the world. It has yet to reach rural people and far off places. It means it does not go to rural areas. Okay, it remains an urban phenomenon. It means it remains in the urban areas only. It means up to the city, or limitation to the city, limited to the city, which with the majority of rural poor is still out of its reach. So rural people are out of reach. It means they do not get it. Lack of economic and physical access. The poorest in the cities and the migrants are left out, for they generally do not possess ration cards. Just because they do not possess ration cards, the allocation of PD supplies in big cities is larger than in rural areas in view of such deficiencies in the system. Now, what is the main reason? Deficiencies in the system. PDS urgently needs to be streamlined, and it needs to be streamlined means it needs to be on a straight way. So there is actually the deficiency in PDS. Okay, so this is the main reason. So according to the first question, insufficient supply of the food to the poorest just because of mismanagement of food stocks, absence of proper public distribution system. As we have already read that this is the deficiency of PDS, or public distribution system, therefore B is absolutely the correct answer. So here answer is B. There is absence of proper public distribution system. So this is the correct answer. Now let us move to the next question. This is very simple, directly written in the passage. What, according to the passage, is the main purpose of public policy in the long run? Now, what is the main purpose of public policy? So here we have two keywords. One is the main purpose, and for what, of which? We are talking about the main purpose of whom? It is of the public policy. So we have to look for these two words, that is the main purpose, and the other one is public policy in the long run. So we have to look for these two words keenly, that the purpose of the public policy. Now let us get back to the passage again, just to look for these two words. Now, if we see the first paragraph, in the first paragraph, it is not written at all, I think so. Now, in the second paragraph, increasing the purchasing power of the poor through providing productive employment leading to rising income and thus good standard. Okay. Objective. Now, here it is written ultimate objective of the public policy, and we were talking about the purpose of public policy. So this is actually the same line, that is ultimate objective. Objective is actually the synonym of purpose. So this is absolutely correct. So ultimate objective of public policy. Now, what is it? Increasing the purchasing power of the poor through providing productive employment leading to rising income and thus good standard of the living is the ultimate objective of public policy. Okay, now let us get back to the question. It is okay. So according to, let us see the options. Reducing the cost of living index by increasing supplies? No. Providing enough food to all the citizens? No. Good standard of living through productive employment? Yes. This is actually the correct answer. Okay, this is the correct answer. So C is absolutely correct answer. This line is written as it is in the paragraph or in the passage in first and second paragraph. Okay. Now let us get back. Let us go to the next question. That is question number 3. Which of the following is true of public distribution system? So there are a few statements given to us, and we have to look for the true of the public distribution system. It means we have to look for that particular statement which is exactly true. Okay, so let us see the options. It has improved its effectiveness over the years. It has remained effective only in the cities. It is the unique in the world. It is the unique in the world. Because of its effectiveness, it has reached the remotest corner of the country. Now, let us see, in these type of questions, there are a few statements which we have to look one by one according to the context of the passage. So let us check the first one. Now let us see that this is page number 26. Okay, and the passage is on 21 and 22. So we'll just shuffle it with the passage. Okay. So, which of the following is true of the public distribution system? So, it has improved its effectiveness over the years. So let us see if this line is written in the passage or not. Okay, so this is okay. Now, public distribution system which provides food at low prices is a subject of vital concern. There is growing realization that though India has enough food to feed its masses 2 square meals a day, the monster of starvation and food insecurity continues to haunt the people in the country. Now, although PDS is extensive, it is one of the largest systems in the world. It has yet to reach the rural people. Okay. Now, let us move further. On this page, it is written that, group PDS target group oriented. And here this line is not written at all. Okay. It means it is yet to go to some parts of the country. So we cannot say that it is working effectively. So we can say, okay, let us see the question. Let us go to the question again. Okay, now this question we have already done. Now this. It has remained effective only in cities. Yes, this is the line that we have read. As I told you earlier, that it is only limited to urban areas. It has not reached many rural areas till now as well. Therefore, this line is absolutely correct that it has remained effective only in the cities. So this is exactly the correct answer. And this we know very well as we have read this line earlier in the context of the passage. Now let us move to the next question. The word square as used in the passage means, as I told you there as well, when it is written a square meal. And I told you square meals means the proper meal. Okay. Now let us see the options. Rich, sumptuous, sufficient or quality. Of course, it is sufficient. That is enough. Answer is C. Now let us move to the next question. Which of the following words is the same in the meaning as power as used in the passage? See, the options are vigor, energy, influence, capacity. Obviously, power means energy, but it is required according to the passage as used in the passage. So let us go to the passage to look for this particular word. So it is on 21. Now let us see where the word power is written. So just scroll down, here it is written, increasing the purchasing power of the poor. Purchasing power. It means the budget of the poor, or you can say the capacity of the poor that he can buy such or such amount. So here the answer should be, okay, this we have already done. This question also we have done. And this question we also have done. So we are on this. Yes, this also we have done. This question is, so here the capacity is the correct answer. That is D, that a person can afford this much. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. What according to the passage is the main concern about the PDS? The options are, it has not been able to develop confidence in the public, people at large. It has been able to utilize the entire food grains stock available. It has effectively channelized the food grains to all sectors. It has not been able to provide sufficient food to the poorer section of the society. We know well that the main concern about PDS is it has not been able to provide, as it is written in the first line of the passage. So this is D. D is absolutely correct answer. So there are many questions for which we need not go back to the passage, because we know very well now what is actually the pattern of the passage, and we have read it as much as possible. So we can easily give some of the answers as it is without reading it again and again in the passage, as we have read that line before as well. Now, what should be an appropriate step to make the PDS effective? So, to make it target group oriented, to increase the amount of food grains per ration card, to decrease the allotment of food grains to urban sector, or to reduce administrative cost. Now, what is the requirement that is appropriate step to make the PDS effective? Okay, so they want to know about PDS effectiveness, that how to make it effective. Now, let us get back to the passage. That is, okay. Now we have to just look for two keywords, that is PDS effective. Okay. Now in the first paragraph it is not written at all. In the second paragraph again it is not written, that is PDS and effective. No, here as well. So on this page it is not written at all. On the passage, on the page number 22. Now let us see this. But here we can see a word group oriented that we have seen in the option as well. Now let us read this. Also considering the large food grains production combined with food subsidy on the one hand and containing slow starvation and the dismal poverty of the rural population on the other, there is a strong case for making PDS target group oriented. So yeah, if we see also considering here, in view of such deficiencies in system, PDS urgently needs to be streamlined. And how to make it streamlined? By making it target group oriented. So in this question, we can see that it is to make it target group oriented. So answer will be A. Now let us move to the next one. Which of the following according to the passage is compared with dearness allowance? So here the keyword is compare and dearness allowance, that is DA. Dearness allowance can be written like this, DA as well. Okay. So now let us get back to the passage to look for these two words, compared and dearness allowance. Okay. Now let us see this. So just scroll down and look for the words dearness allowance. Okay. And the word compare as well, and you can see it in the last paragraph. If one compares only dearness allowance to the employees in the public and private sector and looks at its growth in the past few years, the rising food subsidy is insignificant to the point of inequity. The growing salaried class is provided job security, regular income, and social security. It enjoys almost 100% insulation against inflation. These gains of development have not percolated down to the vast majority of our working population. Okay, and with the majority of rural poor is still offered out of reach. Okay, this we have already read. Now let us get back to the question and see for the options. Okay, so it is on 3-1, that is okay. Now let us see. Now let us get back to the passage. Okay, and here before this, if we see the last line, although the PDS is extensive, it is one of the largest such systems in the world. It has yet to reach rural and far off places. Now it remains an urban phenomenon. Okay. Now, yes, here in the last line, it is okay. If one compares only dearness allowance to the employees in public and private sector, looks at its growth in the past few years, the rising food subsidy is insignificant to the point of inequity. Now let us continue this. The food subsidy is a kind of DA to the poor and self-employed and those unorganized sector of the economy. It means we are talking about DA, and DA is food subsidy. Okay. So here in the options, we can say, okay, before this, here. So the answer, which of the following according to the passage is compared with dearness allowance, that is food subsidy. So here C is absolutely correct answer. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. Food subsidy leads to which of the following? And now where we have already read food subsidy, let us go back to that particular paragraph and there we will get the answer. Food subsidy leads to which of the following? Sense of insecurity, increased dependence, shortage of food grain, or decrease in food grains production. So food subsidy leads to which of the following? Now let us get back to the passage where this food subsidy has been written. Okay, so it is written, the rising food subsidy is insignificant to the point of inequity. Now here you can see the food subsidy is kind of a unorganized sector of the economy. However, what is unfortunate that large budget so for food subsidy, the major part of its administrative cost and wastages, a small portion of the above budget goes to the real consumer. Okay, lesser portion of the where in real need. It is true. So if we see this carefully, if we see this passage carefully, this paragraph, subsidy should become a permanent feature except for the destitute, disabled, widows, or the old. It is true that subsidies often create a psychology. Now, what food subsidy lead to? If you see this carefully, subsidies often create, so this they lead to a psychology of dependence. Psychology of dependence. So here the answer is written in this line, though it is not direct, but the words are actually the synonyms. So food subsidy lead to, it means subsidy create. So this is the correct you can say substitute of that particular line. That is psychology of dependence. Now if we see the question again, that is on page number 33. Okay, so it has increased dependence, as we have seen the word psychology of dependence. So increased dependence. So this is the correct answer. So B is absolutely correct answer. Now let us move to the next question. What, according to the passage, would be the outcome of making PDS target group oriented? So it will abolish the imbalance of urban and rural sector. It will remove poverty. It will give food to the poorest without additional cost. It will motivate the target group population to work more. Okay, so here we are talking about the outcome of making PDS target group oriented. That what, just to make it streamlined, we know well. So it is C, that it will give food to the poorest without additional cost. As we know well that PDS is working effectively in urban areas, but the poor people or the poorest people are not getting the benefits of it. So just to make that streamed, imbalance means not making it balanced. Okay, so this will be the incorrect part, but we want it to be the balanced part. It means as it is going effectively in urban areas, it should go in the remote areas or the rural or the poorest areas as well. So it will give food to the poorest without additional cost. So this will be the correct answer, that is C, because when it is not because of the deficiency of PDS, the poorest people, they are not getting the benefits of it for whom it has been made. So just to give the benefits to them, we have to maintain PDS, or we have to just make the balance of PDS. So it will give food to the poorest without additional cost. This is the exactly correct answer. Okay, which is the same meaning and system used in the passage? So routine, mechanism, machine, or procedure. So we know well that system is mechanism. So B is the correct answer. Which, according to the passage, consumes the major part of the allocated food subsidy? We have already read this. Where? Let me tell you. This is okay. If we see this passage and the lines, it remains okay. Here, it is in this group, either in this, okay, and okay. Yes, here. The food subsidy is a kind of DA to the poor, self-employed, and those in unorganized sector economy. However, what is most unfortunate is that out of the large budget of the so-called food subsidy, the major part of it is administrative cost and wastages. A small portion of the above budget goes to the real consumer, and even lesser portion to the poor who are in real need. So, to the poorest people, it does not reach. Okay. So let us get back to, okay, this question we have already done. Now the next question. Okay, so urban population, we consumes the major part of the now they are talking about the major part. Who consumes the major part? Obviously the one who lives in urban areas. And so urban population is the correct answer. High administrative cost, yes. So only A and B will be the correct answer. Okay, consumes the major part of the, okay, so this is C, that is B and C. Wait, okay, there is a little difference in question. Which, according to the passage, consumes the major part of the allocated food subsidy? High administrative cost or wastage. Now let us see this again in the passage where it is written. You can see over here that out of the large budget of the so-called food subsidy, the major part, here it is written directly, major part of it is administrative cost and wastages. So this is the correct answer. Okay, so here is the correct answer. So yes, C will be the correct answer, that is B and C. It is directly given in the passage. What does cut as used in the passage mean? Damage, seize, destroy, reduce. Of course, reduce. So answer will be D. Which is the same meaning the word point. So extent, direct, tip, position. So this is A, that is extent. The author's writing style is simplistic, argumentative, verbose. Obviously, it is argumentative. So answer is B. So I hope you got all these three passages. The answers, though these three passages are very, very tricky, especially the fourth one. So I hope that you understood all these three paragraphs. The last one was really easy as the answers were given directly. But in fourth and fifth passages, the answer were too tricky. But if you read the questions and then the passage, you will be able to answer these questions very quickly and properly. I hope you got all these three passages very well. Thanks to you.